Marvel Studios just made its riskiest bet in 15 years, handing the Fantastic Four reboot to Pedro Pascal. If that movie tanks, the MCU's last lifeboat sinks with it. Pascal's a talented actor, sure, but he's never led a billion-dollar hit, never carried a franchise, and let's be honest, Reed Richards, he is not. So the real question isn't can Pedro do it? It's why did Marvel choose him in the first place? Because if the answer is hashtags instead of character, the studio we once trusted is officially in panic mode. Tonight we're shredding Marvel's casting logic, tracking the studio's slow decline from RDJ masterstrokes to algorithm-driven stunt picks, and asking the only question that matters. Does Kevin Feige still have a soul left to save his universe? Hit subscribe because by the end you'll decide whether Fantastic Four is a comeback or the MCU's final obituary. Once upon a time, Marvel was untouchable. They didn't chase clout, they created it. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a trending pick when they cast him as Iron Man. He was a risky, controversial move. Chris Hemsworth? Total unknown. Chris Evans? People thought his Human Torch days would tank him. And yet each one became iconic. Because the characters came first, Marvel wasn't just making movies, they were building myths, they had vision. They understood that the audience didn't want popularity contests. We wanted heroes we could believe in, characters that felt earned up, but now? Look at what we're getting. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards isn't about fit. It's not about story. It's about strategy. It's about engagement metrics. TikTok clips, fan cams, trend reports. The casting feels more like it came from a brand partnership deck than a writer's room, and this isn't a knock on Pedro's talent. He's charismatic, likable, even memorable. But he's not Mr. Fantastic. Not in tone, not in energy. Not in legacy. He's not the tortured genius. He doesn't carry the gravitas. And worst of all, you can't disappear into the character when the actor himself overshadows the role. We don't see Reed Richards. We see Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, maybe. That's the shift. Marvel used to create legends. Now it tries to buy them off Instagram followings, Reddit upvotes, and curated buzz. And that's exactly why the MCU feels hollow today. It's not just that the scripts are weak. It's that the faces in these stories don't feel like they belong to the world we were promised. Because somewhere along the way, casting stopped being a storytelling decision and became a marketing move. Let's talk numbers because Hollywood runs on receipts. Pedro Pascal has never led a box office hit. Not once. He's been everywhere. Sure. Supporting roles, memes, interviews, but anchoring a billion-dollar franchise? That's uncharted territory and not in a good way. Wonder Woman 1984? Total mess critically and financially. The Great Wall with Matt Damon? A $150 million flop. Kingsman 2? Forgettable at best. And The Mandalorian? Let's be real. People tuned in for Baby Yoda. Pedro was behind a helmet half the time. Even he wasn't the draw, and yet this is the guy Marvel is betting their last big reboot on? What's worse is how we got here. Pedro wasn't the first choice. Or the second, or even the third. Marvel tried Adam Driver, he said no. Jake Gyllenhaal passed. Matt Smith passed. Everyone passed. And when the dust settled, Pedro said yes. Not because he was the perfect fit, but because no one else wanted the job. That's not confidence. That's corporate survival mode, and if that doesn't concern you, it should, because the Fantastic Four isn't just another Marvel movie. It's the only Phase 6 film with real weight. And instead of building something fresh and daring, Marvel just plugged a trending face into a crumbling machine and hoped no one would notice. But we noticed, because fans can feel when a casting choice is made out of fear, not inspiration. And Pedro's casting, it screams risk management. It screams safe bet. But in a franchise that used to reward bold moves, safe is starting to feel like the riskiest choice of all. The backlash didn't start with Pedro Pascal, it started years ago when Marvel forgot what made people fall in love with this universe in the first place. Once upon a time, the MCU was lightning in a bottle. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, characters that felt real, earned, flawed, heroic. You didn't just watch them. You believed in them, because Marvel back then took risks on talent. They built arcs that spanned years. They respected the slow burn. Now? It's like they're building content, not stories. You felt it, haven't you? the emptiness of Secret Invasion, the awkwardness of She-Hulk, the fatigue of the Marvels. Shows and movies stitched together by committee, not crafted by vision. And when fans raised their hands and said, "Hey, this isn't working," the response was always the same: "You're toxic, you're the problem. You just don't get it," but we did get it. We grew up with these characters. We stayed loyal through every mid-credit tease and every messy CGI fight. And now, we're being told to settle for less because someone in a boardroom thinks algorithms are a better compass than soul. Marvel didn't fall because of Pedro Pascal. Pedro is just the face they've chosen to distract us. The real damage was done the moment they stopped listening. When they replaced substance with spectacle. When they treated legacy like a liability. And now, the same studio that gave us Endgame is banking everything on a reboot they don't even seem to believe in themselves. But here's the kicker: fans haven't changed. We still love great stories. We still fill theaters for Top Gun, Dune, The Batman, Across the Spider-Verse. We're not tired of superheroes. We're tired of being taken for granted. Let's make something clear. This isn't hate. This isn't about Pedro Pascal being a bad actor. This isn't about fans being bitter. This is about something way bigger. Standards. See, we grew up watching Marvel set the bar. They built a cinematic empire on characters that felt iconic the moment they hit the screen. When Robert Downey Jr. stepped into the Iron Man suit, it meant something. When Chris Evans said, "I can do this all day," you believed him. When Black Panther shouted, "Wakanda forever," it echoed in theaters around the world. But now? Now Marvel's handing out roles like participation trophies. Not because someone embodied the part, but because they were available, trending, or had the right Twitter fanbase. That's not legacy. That's desperation. And the fans see it. We're not dumb. We know when we're being sold a product versus being offered a story. We know when a casting choice is made to generate buzz instead of building a world, and it stings. Not because we're negative, but because we still care. We're holding Marvel to a standard it's set for itself. And when we speak up, it's not hate. It's heartbreak. Heartbreak from watching something that once stood for imagination and excellence crumble under the weight of cheap tricks and shallow scripts. We're not angry because Marvel's evolving. We're angry because it's regressing and pretending it's progress. The MCU used to lead. Now it follows, used to inspire. Now it panders. We're not asking for perfection. We're asking for intention. If Fantastic Four fails, it won't just be a bad movie. It will be the moment Marvel loses its final safety net. This isn't some side project. This is supposed to be the reset button, the clean slate, the foundation of everything that comes next. The X-Men integration, Kang's future, Dune's rise, it all hinges on this one film. So what happens if it flops? Studios will panic. Investors will pull back. The next phase won't get the same budget, the same freedom, the same trust. Disney will start slashing projects, canceling spin-offs, downsizing shows. You'll feel it not just in the MCU, but across the industry. The superhero era won't end with a bang. It'll just quietly lose relevance. And the fans, the real fans, they'll walk away for good. Because this isn't like Eternals or Ant-Man 3, those were missteps. This is Marvel betting everything on a hand it doesn't seem to understand. Let's not forget, Fantastic Four has already failed 3 times in Hollywood. This reboot was meant to redeem all of that. But instead of bold storytelling, we got safe casting. Instead of vision, we got crisis control. And if audiences leave theaters saying it was fine, that's not enough. Marvel used to make films that define the genre. Now it's praying people don't roast it on opening weekend. Because of Fantastic Four underdelivers even slightly, Marvel's myth collapses. It's not about making $1 billion. It's about proving they still get it. That they still care, that they're still willing to take risks that matter. Because if this movie fails, it won't be Pedro Pascal's fault. It'll be the final proof that Marvel forgot what made it special in the first place. Marvel keeps asking the wrong question. They keep wondering, how do we get people to care again? But the answer isn't hidden. Fans have always told them, we don't want gimmicks. We don't want multiverse overload. We don't want every movie to feel like a trailer for the next one. We want characters we believe in, stories that matter, moments that make us feel something. We want to care again, not because the studio told us to, but because the screen pulled us in and didn't let go. Think back to Iron Man's first arc, the cave, the escape, the moral reckoning. Think about Cap jumping on a grenade before he even had powers. Think about Thor dropping the hammer and learning humility. That's not nostalgia. That's emotional storytelling. Now compare that to what we're getting. Superheroes with zero development. CGI battles that mean nothing. Cameos that vanish after 2 minutes. A multiverse filled with, who cares, it's all noise. Pretty expensive, meaningless noise. And fans are tired. We didn't walk away because we stopped loving superheroes. We walked away because Marvel stopped loving them first. Because they stopped treating them like legends and started treating them like content, like marketing vehicles. Like tweets with a budget. They ask for our loyalty, but give us homework. They ask for our excitement, but deliver mediocrity. And the worst part? They pretend like the fans who criticize them are the problem. We're not toxic. We're heartbroken because we believed in this universe. We saw ourselves in it. We grew up with it. And now it treats us like numbers, not like people. We don't want perfection. We don't even need every film to be a hit. But we need to feel like someone cares. Like someone behind the scenes actually remembers what made Marvel great. And right now, we don't see it. This isn't just about one movie, or one actor, or even one franchise. This is about Hollywood watching Marvel bleed and wondering who's next. Because when Marvel stumbles, studios panic. Executives start second-guessing superhero budgets. Investors start pulling out of connected universes. Streaming platforms tighten their belts, and actors? They run for cover. That's why so many A-listers passed on Mr. Fantastic. They're not scared of the character, they're scared of the brand. Because if Marvel, the gold standard, can't protect its heroes from audience apathy, what chance does anyone else have? Marvel was supposed to be bulletproof. For a decade, it was the blueprint. The franchise that every studio wanted to copy, every director wanted to work with. It shaped the entire cinematic economy. And now, it's the cautionary tale. Directors don't want to fight VFX notes. Writers don't want to shape scripts around post-credit scenes. Actors don't want to spend a decade doing press tours for movies they no longer believe in. Audiences don't want to be manipulated by trailers that overpromise and underdeliver. The moment Marvel shows weakness, the dominoes start falling. Because Marvel failing doesn't just affect Marvel, it shakes the foundation of the entire blockbuster machine, and the industry sees it. They're watching Fantastic Four like it's a stress test for the genre. If it fails, it won't just be Marvel that pays the price. DC will panic again. Studios greenlighting billion-dollar CGI slogs will hit pause. The cinematic universe concept may finally collapse under its own weight. This movie isn't just a soft reboot. It's a turning point. One way or the other. So no, this isn't about Pedro Pascal. It's about whether the entire system that turned comic books into cinema royalty can still work. Or if it's finally out of tricks. This isn't just about being disappointed in one casting, or angry at one trailer, or skeptical about one release date. This is about a decade of loyalty being tested all at once, because for millions of fans, Marvel wasn't just entertainment, it was investment. Emotional, cultural, even personal. We grew with these stories. We lined up at midnight, we argued theories with friends. We cried when Tony snapped his fingers. We watched real characters become legends because it mattered. But somewhere along the way, Marvel stopped believing in that magic. They started cutting corners, pushing quantity over quality, relying on brand loyalty instead of storytelling. And now we're staring down the most iconic superhero team in comic book history, the Fantastic Four, being thrown into a pressure cooker. Not to inspire, not to evolve, but to patch up a sinking ship. That's why this movie matters. Not because it might be bad, but because it might prove Marvel has forgotten what made it great. This was supposed to be the comeback, the revival. Instead, it feels like Marvel has nothing left but hope, and that hope is wearing a blue suit that doesn't quite fit. If Fantastic Four succeeds, it might just buy Marvel time to rethink, retool, and rebuild. But if it fails, this isn't just the end of Phase 6. It might be the end of the MCU. As we know it, let's make one thing clear. Marvel fans aren't impossible to please. We're not haters, we're not trolls. We're not here to tear things down just for fun. We're here because we care. Because once upon a time, Marvel Studios made us feel something few franchises ever could belonging. We were there for the slow burns, we were there for the crossovers. We were there when it felt like every post-credit scene meant something. And what do we want now? We want heart, we want stakes. We want characters we can root for, not just actors who trend for a month and fade the next. We want stories that feel earned, not manufactured. We don't need a new face every week or a flashy cameo every 20 minutes. We need depth, continuity, emotional payoff. And as for Pedro Pascal, look, if he surprises us, if he rises above the chaos and actually brings something honest and powerful to Reed Richards, we'll be the first to admit it. We'll cheer. We'll celebrate, but don't ask us to lower the bar just because the studio did. Marvel was never just about superheroes, it was about legacy. And if they want that legacy to survive, they better start listening again before every fan who once showed up decides it's finally time to walk away. Because if Marvel doesn't get it right this time, we won't be here for the next phase. Not out of hate, out of heartbreak.